myself there. Alrighty. Hello, and welcome everybody. Another grand episode of How to Airbrush. So here we have our stencil for today, right? Obviously here. And so as always, this image is free to use. So if you go down in the description of the video, there's a link that says woman's face image. You can go ahead and click that link. You can download this image, you can print it out, and it comes with the reference picture that we'll be working off of. So you could do this exercise at home on your own free time, and all that good jazz. So make sure you check out those links down below. As always, buying the stencils directly from right here, mikesbrush.com, helps the channel provide you more videos like this. So if you like these videos and you'd like to see more, buying those stencils helps, as well as clicking the join button. That always helps as well. Appreciate all the support. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So we have the image, right? I have it printed out, I have it cut out. It's on our board here on our watercolor sheet, 140 pound. Again, the link to this will be down below if you want, if you're interested in that. And so what I've decided to do is, let me turn down this music. It's a little bit too loud for me. I want to be able to talk. I feel like I'm yelling. All right, that's better. All right, so this week, what I'm going to do with this picture is we're going to do it in a kind of monochromatic, so like black and white, or black and gray and white is really what we're going to be doing. So that's kind of the way I'm going to take it this week, and then next week we'll come back and we'll use the kind of the same image to produce, more. We'll go more in color and in depth. We'll go more in depth with the color next week, and we'll start all over, going through the whole process of colors. That might be a two-parter. It might take us a couple of weeks. But for today, like I said, we're just going to do black and white and kind of, just work in some basic fundamentals and shading and how to use this quick little stencil. Yeah. So I'm going to be using Illustration Opaque Black today. I'm going to be using transparent medium gray, and then wicked white. So this is the opaque wicked white. Ugh. So we're going to be using the wicked white along with everything at the very end to give some highlights here. I've cut it out using a blade. I've stuck it on there using some spray adhesive. And yeah. Stephen Ward, what's up? Did I say what's up already? I don't know. I feel like I'm repeating myself. But what's up if I haven't said it? What's up? How's it going, man? It's going good for me. Oh my God. I don't know if I had a brain fart moment or what. But I like having deja vu of seeing the message, but I don't know if I replied. Anyway, we're going to start with our stencil here, and or actually before we start, let's mix up some paint. So we have something to spray. Before we get started, I'm gonna mix up black. I'm gonna use the medium gray inside of my Iwata Eclipse. Gonna do about a half and half mixture, reducer to paint. We're using a 4011 reducer, and we don't need a whole bunch, so it's just a little bit in there that I'm mixing up. There's already some reducer in there. I'm just throwing in some paint. And I'm going to shake it up. Then we're going to let it sit for a second while we mix up the other colors. But we're going to start mixing up the gray first because that's the color we're going to use first. What's up, James Melton? How's it going? How's it going? And we're going to start here at the mouth. So I have the mouth kind of first already ready here. Yeah. Why does this pressure feel up so high all of a sudden? Hold on, let me turn down the pressure. So yeah, I'm doing about 25 psi, no, 20. Like 20 psi is really the magic number. I'm gonna say like 22 because I set it at 22, but once you start spraying, it drops down just a little bit, you know. So 20 to 22 psi is what we're working with today. Really low, really nice, precise. And again, I'm just gonna shake this up real good. And then I'm going to use the GSI Krios here. I really have fallen in love with this airbrush. I've been using it for everything. I got a lot more done on the Prince card today. Which I'm super excited about. Now the black, we're going to do about a 3-to-1 mixture. So paint to reducer, we want the black to be kind of darker. And the illustration black's really fine already, so we don't need to reduce it that much. And we're not going to need a whole lot of it, so you don't need to mix up a whole bunch. Just a little bit in the bottom of the cup is fine. You know, maybe that makes it sound like, you know, not enough, but like maybe, you know, 1/4 of an ounce, a little bit, just a little bit. That's all you need. All right, shaking up the black real quick. Shakety, shakety, shake. Oh, I didn't repeat myself. Okay, good. I could have sworn I said, "Hey, what's up, Stephen Ward?" And then for some reason I kept talking, and then I felt like I looked back and I was like, "Did I say that or did I not say that?" I think the real response is I am going mad. And we're gonna do about, on the white reduction, I'm gonna do about a 5-to-1, and we really don't need that much white, so I'm just a little tiny bit of white in here in the Sotar. I like using the Sotar for the highlights. For no other particular reason than it has a really tiny cup, and we usually don't need that much white for the highlights, if at all. But today, since we're doing the monochromatic painting here, I'm gonna kind of go ahead and make sure I have it nice and ready so that we could actually use it. A lot of times I talk about, yeah, you throw some white highlights, you know, you skill, this and that. But today we're actually going to throw them in. I feel like it's necessary. So again, if you're just tuning in or if you're watching this later on and you're just wondering what the hell I've been doing up until now, we're mixing up our paints. I've said the PSI. I've said the ratio of reducer to the paint. I've said exactly which airbrush I'm using for what paint, and yeah, this is all pre-cut. I have it pre-cut on the paper here, and if you're interested in using this image, it's available for download for free down below. Thanks to Createx, you know, for providing the paint for today's video. Premium paint, premium paintings, that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, getting started with the mouth here. We're going to remove the innermost mouth. So we're going to leave the teeth. I say leave the teeth and then the teeth come. It's like cut, but I do a bad job of cutting the very edge. Right? So now that we have all our colors premixed and ready in a separate airbrush, which again, just taking the feedback and just taking from what I see and what I know. A lot of you guys have already 2 or 3 airbrushes, so it shouldn't be a problem to have more than a couple colors ready. Alright, so starting with the gray. In our Eclipse here, we're going to kind of just go ahead and just kind of, you know, fill it in, basically. Nice and slowly, build it up. You don't got to hammer it in. You just nice and slowly build it up. And it's a medium gray, but if you give it a few shots, it's going to really get dark. So yeah. But when you add the black over it, you're going to really tell that it's gray because the black is going to look black. Like so anyway, moving on to our black here, we're going to take some black. And we're just going to hit the edge all the way around. Right. Same on this side. Just a nice soft little shadow right on the edge. That's all I'm doing. Nothing too crazy. Then we're going to take off this little piece in between the teeth here. We're going to take this top piece in between the teeth. And last but not least, our last piece of gums. The gums. And we're just going to take some gray and do the gums, right, in gray. Nice and light. You don't really have to hit these really dark or nothing, just nice and lightly. And then we're gonna hit this bottom spot with a little bit of black. Right, so this bottom can just get some black in there. Bam. Bam. Nothing too crazy. I'm gonna start by removing this back tooth. And then back tooth on this side as well. See that? We're gonna only use the gray here, and we're gonna just hit that edge there of the tooth and the lip, just really lightly. You don't really have to hit it hard or nothing. Bam. Hit the edge of the tooth right here. Make sure you kind of mark it on this side as well. Then we're just gonna remove this white tooth, the right tooth first. And all I'm gonna do is hit off the top with some gray, and I'm gonna shade it going down. I'm gonna make sure to hit lightly with the gray on this edge over here, right? Bam. And then we can remove the last tooth. Bam. And again, just kind of bring the shadowing in off the top of the lips. Bring it in and around. Simple. Then all I'm going to do is take some black. Right? And just a quick little shadow across the top with the black. Just quickly across the bottom, just to kind of send that into the background there. Then we're gonna start with the top lip. And the reason we start with the lips first, and I'm just gonna cut this right here at the edge here, we're gonna start with this top lip, is because they're kind of like the darkest spot, right? So we'll be moving from this dark spot to other dark spots on the painting. But this is the lips, because they're so dark red. You know, it was kind of like the darkest spot that I've seen. Now, if you have a shield, this is where a shield's going to come in handy. Luckily, this lips kind of match up, right? Like one side matches up there and the other side kind of matches up there. So you could use that same piece that you just cut out to kind of use it for our next piece, which is, we're just going to lay this right on the edge, and we're going to use the black first, and we're going to bring in the shading of the lips kind of going up. So this is why I included the reference, is because all you got to do is really follow the reference on the strokes, on which direction the strokes go, right? So if I'm looking, you see me looking over, or you can't see me, but I'm looking over to the side over here, and I have the reference, and I'm looking back over, and I'm kind of applying my strokes as I see them on the reference picture. Now, this is why I went over the fundamentals again and did that whole exercise with you guys, because by now doing these little small strokes and stuff shouldn't be too hard. And if you just bring them in, going up like this, bring a nice little soft shadow in. And it's okay if you have that little white edge, that's perfectly fine. And we do the other side. Right, so you could really get meticulous And if you even wanted to print out the reference and use the actual reference and cut out where the wrinkles on the lips are and stuff, I mean, you really could, but you'd be robbing yourself of, you know, just having that little bit of freehand and making it your own. So, you know, to each his own. I like doing it this way, kind of giving it a little freehand onto the stencil so it doesn't look so just stencilized. And we start off with the black to really give it that nice first tone. Then we're going to switch off to the gray. Right, now we're going to obviously outline the lips like they are outlined in the picture with the gray here. Try to shake it up a little bit. Right, just bring in the shadows onto the other ones. When you're doing monochromatic like this too, the colors obviously is not going to matter that much, and what's going to matter more is just making sure you kind of match up where your dark tones and your light tones are. So wherever you see in the picture where there's just a color that's so darker than everything around it, you got to represent that in the painting somehow. So it's kind of the best way to think about it. I'm just going around with the gray and just kind of extending those shadows, kind of go in, and that if you get a little white highlight like that, just send it to the back with a little bit of gray. Perfectly fine. That's why I also use transparent gray, because the transparent gray you can kind of go over stuff and it'll just kind of dull it out a little bit without completely deleting it, because having that little bit of a highlight in the back like that actually looks kind of good. So don't get too down on yourself if you notice some stuff like that. Turn that frown upside down, as they would say. I'm just going to go back with some black, hit the edge of that top lip there. And once you're satisfied with your lips, we can move on to the bottom lip, right? Because everybody has two lips, the top lip and the bottom lip. Now, when you're doing monochromatic like this, obviously one of the important things, or one of the easy things to do, is create a harsh or a nice crisp and defined contrast, right? So that's kind of why we shaded in the teeth and stuff, because now we have that nice hard contrast of the bottom lip there, and it gives us a nice spot to kind of add in our shading and stuff. On the bottom lip, I'm going to start off with some gray, right? And again, just kind of following the reference picture here. I'm just going to add in little strokes with gray, going in the direction that they are in the picture. Now the picture has a bunch of white highlights right here, so maybe throw in leave in some spots where you plan it and shade it around, because we could always come back and add the white highlight with the white and make it nice and sharp. But if you leave a spot for it, it'll be even extra brighter. So just kind of plan ahead. And like I said, you could print out that picture and just cut out the white highlights if you wanted. I'm laughing because I just think that's just excessive. And yeah, like, it's okay to use your eyes a little bit, and your eyes and imagination, you know, create some of your own little highlights. So just go around, keep shading it in. I'm sorry about the compressor, but I've been airbrushing on the Prince car all day, so it's only natural that it tunes on. Cool. So I'm going to go back in with the black. And if you notice on her lips, she has a really dark, kind of like a shadow on the right side of her lip right here. So we're going to kind of hit that in first. There's also some, they're not cracks, but like whatever those deformations on the lips that look like lines. She has some of those going up, so just kind of hit those. So you get a nice edge, nice shadow on the edge there. You can just use your reference. Get the lips in there, nice and easy. So since we have white already loaded, we'll go ahead and do the white highlights right now. Slide a shape real quick. And you'll notice that on the teeth, there's some really nice, really defined white highlights. So you can try to, if you've shaded in enough your teeth, you can hit those white highlights in there. But also on the lips. There you go. I'm just wait for this compressor to stop before I keep talking. Get ahead of myself. It doesn't help that it's a huge compressor. So you see this corner piece? I'm going to remove that corner piece off to the side there. And I'm going to go ahead and just shade that in with some black. Alright, so in case you couldn't hear me, I'm just going to remove that corner piece there and just shade that in with black. Nothing too fancy, just kind of coloring it in there with some nice black. Bam. Bam. Alright, so then there's the whole trickery of her eyes and nose up here. So come on, camera. Work with me, camera. Work with me. Oh, what did I push? Did it freeze? Yeah. Sun. Alright. There you go. There you go. Okay. It's just hard to move it. Cool. So we're going to start with her eyes here, the main pupils. We can remove the innards here. And we can just fill those in with black right away. No biggies there. And the reason I again wanted to do it in black and white this week and then do it in color next week is so that you can see the process difference too, because working white and black, it's a lot easier. Like just straight up, it's a lot easier than doing stuff in color. So people always ask why I charge more for doing portraits in color and stuff, and it's just like, you don't understand. It's not even just twice the amount of work. It's like way more than twice. So again, we're gonna remove what is the colored part of the eye called? I forget. But we're gonna remove the colored part of the eye. We're gonna come in with some gray. And again, you can shade it in, and if you want to follow the reference, don't worry about covering the black because we're using with the transparent gray. So it's gonna kind of just blend in. So we're gonna kind of just hit those in. Then I'm just going to come in with a little bit of black, a little bit of shadow across the top, and a little bit on the edge. Just a little shadow. Bam. Bam. Alright, so then we're going to leave the white part of the eyes. We're not going to take those off. We're going to leave those. And we want them to stay majorly white until we get to the very end, right? So we're gonna move to the nostrils. And it'll give time for the eyes to dry, right? So once the eyes dry, that'll be fine. So we're gonna start by removing this right nostril. You see that in the middle section there. To remove that, and we're gonna go ahead and hit that in with black, just a light shadow of black. And then on this right side, on that curved side there, I'm just going to go ahead and hit that edge a little bit better than the bottom edge, right? Then I'm going to fold down this flap. See, I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it over right there. Just like that. I'm going to take the same on this side here. Take this nostril. And I'm just going to fold it over. Like that. Take some gray, right? I'm just going to take some gray and I'm going to hit the edge, the right edge, and that left curved edge there. I'm just going to shadow that in. Same thing on this side, just kind of shadow this side in, shadow in that edge of the black, and then hit the bottom there. Bam, nothing too crazy. And then we're just going to take a little bit of black and just kind of reinforce the edges there. Same thing on this side. Bring it around. Bam. Nothing too crazy. Then we're going to lift up this flap, fold that over. All these flaps, my guy. Then I'm going to take some gray and we're going to just shadow this around like so. Notice I'm not going, like, I'm just hitting the edge. I'm not like over here on this side. That should stay pretty white. Right now I'm just hitting it a little edge. Then I'm going to take some black and just, again, really softly on that edge. Just a little soft shadow. Boom. Right? Then we're going to take the main part of the nose. So that would be this part, if I can get it. The actual, like, schnoz. The schnoz part of the nose. I don't know what you call it. The big cartilage part of the nose. Right, and we're going to take that and fold that over. Making sure everything stays in place. There you go. Fold that over. Now all I'm going to do is take some black. Just right away go to the black. And I'm just going to lightly hit that edge. Bam. That's all. That's all that edge is for. That's all the only reason for that soft little shadow there. Then we're going to take some gray, and you could extend using your reference. You could kind of extend the shadow a little bit because it's going to help you do it now instead of later. All right, just a little bit, just extend the black using the gray. Bam. Done with the nose. Right, we're going to remove these stencils, and we want to be done with that area. So next I'm going to take off this piece here, right at the top of the eye. I'm going to just take some black and I'm going to hit that with black right there. So that's the line of the makeup there, right? And so that's a good spot to mark the top, and then you'll have that little white highlight there, so that when we do our eyelashes, you could tell where the bottom of the eyelashes are kind of coming from. Same thing on the other side. We have it marked off. We could go ahead and take off this top piece here, right? Take it all the way to the other side, and you can just cut it right there. Fill that in with black, or mark it on across the top. Bam. Bam. Cool. So then we got our two big curves here. So you could, if you have a set of shields, you could just use your shields for this step. But I'm just going to go ahead and move this. Let's see what else I need to cut. Cut this. Move this whole thing down. Also the eyelashes, the eyebrow here, I've kind of cut it and just left all, that whole area. But all I'm going to do is lift it all the way up to there. And try to leave some stuff to stay down, like this eye. There you go. I don't care if this other part comes off, but I'm going to fold this over all the way to there. All I'm going to do is take some black, hit that edge. Bam. Just lightly hit that edge. Light. Just light. Here. Move the camera so you can see what I'm doing here. Just lightly hit that edge there. Alright, bam. I folded it all the way down to there. Hit that edge. Then we're going to take the same thing on the other side. And I guess we could really just take our blade and cut down here to the eye. And make it a lot easier. And we could just lift up this whole flap here. Same procedure, just take a little bit of black. We're not going to bring it all the way down. Obviously, it's not connected, but to where the line was originally, we're just going to shade up with a little bit of black. And that's just going to kind of give you the definition of where that highlight around her eye is, and her, what is that top of the eye called? The eyelid? But like the top of the eyelid between your eyebrow and your eyelid, what is that called? That like top piece? I don't know. Too many technical terms needed. And yeah, then we have this little piece right here, which we can, again, just since we already have this cut here, we could go ahead and take it, just fold it over there, and we're just going to mark that off also with just a little bit of black, just a nice little mark. Boom. And then I believe we could remove, oh wait, no, let's not remove it yet. Let's do the hair. See, off into the corner here, this little piece here, we could just remove this. And this is kind of the base of where her hair is. I'm just gonna take some black and I'm gonna shade it in. Nothing too crazy, and I'm just gonna kind of give myself a few strokes going across there. Nothing too crazy just yet, because we're gonna kind of layer it in a little bit. Right, so we have that one. Then I'm going to remove, there's this piece right here between the fingers, this piece. We need to do that next. And then we could shade that in with black. Again, just kind of going all the way down. It doesn't have to be really dark or nothing, just a nice shadow going down. Right? And yeah, that's good. If you want to do the hair all the way up to the top, you can. I'm just going to kind of just leave it to there. That's fine. And now we could take off all this, her main face, leaving the fingers behind, leaving the eyebrow cut out behind. Right, so we could take off basically the whole main everything. And just leaving the hand. Bam. And you should have it marked off. Right, you're gonna have these markings here. And this is kind of where your free hand is gonna come in and play, but because we have all these markings already ready, it's gonna make it super easy, right? So starting with the nose here, we're gonna start with some gray. I'm gonna walk you right through it. We're gonna extend the bottom here of this nostril, and we're gonna attach it right to the what is the nostril flap. We're gonna attach it to the nostril hole. Yeah, that's the best way I could, and just bring it around. Have you noticed there's a shadow here, kind of coming all the way up and connecting over here, right? Just kind of walking you through it. Again, off the lips right here, there's a nice little shadow as well. And we're not trying to do anything real dark. That's why we're doing the medium gray. And it's gonna, even with the medium gray, it'll take you a while to actually build up some of those colors, right? So if you wanted to get like really gray, it would take you, a good time. So again, coming off this left nostril hole, there's a nice little shadow here coming in. And it kind of goes around and connects to this other side here. Bam. Kind of have this shadow going down on this side. We have a little shadow right here. Kind of blends everything together. The noses are weird because they have so many different ways the light kind of works in. But if you just focus in on the nose, again, look at your reference picture and just kind of you see the shadow, and you can kind of guide yourself where we already have these lines and where your shadow needs to go. So bring up the nostril flap, right? And we're going to connect it up here where that shade is, and then we're going to just kind of bring that shadow down like this. Right? There's also a little shadow kind of going around where the nostril hole is here. It's not super bright. See, we're just building it up little by little. And then we're just going to move it, that shadow, just slowly start building it up, going up. You see, and you've already marked off where your next shadow has to connect. So all you got to do is bring it in together. That's why it helps to have those marks and just have it, marked off where you need to go. So moving on to this other side of the nose here, right? We're going to bring it in. Oh, there goes my eye. It's fine, I'll just use, let me grab my shield real quick. So we're almost at the point where that eye has to come off anyway. Let me grab my shield. Alright, and so like as always, if you're interested in some nice set of shields, a nice set of stencils, as always, using the website mikesbrush.com. Not only helps you get a stencil, but it helps the channel. The iris. Oh, sorry, it took me this long to look up and see that it said iris. But yeah, you buying yourself one of these, it comes in very handy. So again, we're just gonna take the shield here, take some gray, and I'm just gonna use it to mark off where the nose was there, and kind of keep the contact from the paint and my eye away. Right, that's literally all I needed it for, just to do that little shadow. And then we're gonna bring our shadow around. And we're still with the gray, right? We're just building it up. So if you see something that needs a little darker, it's okay to go back, darken it up. Maybe you want to soften up the edges of these hard, stencil lines. By all means, go back, soften it up. Now here up at the top, right where this edge meets, it's where it helps handy to have one of these, because the shadow line just kind of goes off. Like so. And obviously, if you want to, right, like she has a lot of, I guess, freckles. So if you wanted to go ahead and start adding those freckles in, right, a little texturing. And again, that's why I went over the basics and fundamentals of finger control the other day, in order to help you guys out and get you ready for this, because this is where they're really going to come in handy, right? So just softening that up and bringing in the shadow of the eyeball over here. Again, just working off of the reference, really, not doing anything too crazy. You use our shield again, if block the eyeball there, bring in this bottom shadow. Maybe if you could see that, my arm's in the way. There. The sacrifices I make. And bring in the wrinkle. She has like a little wrinkle underneath her eye right there. You can bring that across there. Bam. Now, since I already have my eye kind of off there, I'm just going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of a shadow there. It's obviously not completely white. And it'll be okay to just give it a shadow right then, since we're already there. You can bring in her freckles and her shadow off of this left side here. We've already hit the nose, so we have our outline of our nose already. And if you notice on the picture here, on this left side of the nose here, she has like a shadow, like, our indentation of our lip. So you kind of want to bring that in first, right there. And use the lips and the cutout as a guide of where you need to go. Bring that in and use that as a good basis to bring your whole shadow in, because that shadow kind of goes off into the side here, and it just becomes a nice soft tone of her face there. So bring that down. Just bring it down and around. Nothing too crazy, just kind of working, nice soft shading all the way down. See, and now you can look back. We've already done the left side of her face. Simple. So now we're going to move on to the bottom of her lips here and her chin. That's what we're moving on to right now. So we're going to go ahead and do some shading right here along the bottom of the lips. There is a nice shadow of the indentation of her lips here. So go ahead and use your reference, and nice soft even strokes are the best way to do this. Again, if you're using the transparent gray and if you've reduced it, it's going to take you a while, right? So it's going to take a few strokes going back and forth to really make it dark like this, and just again give yourself a little bit of play there. We're going to bring our shadow and we're going to bring it around to the chin. Nothing heavy, right? But again, use the reference as a guide. And we're just going to bring it around and down. If you notice it, she has a highlight here, and it's kind of right in between where her teeth meet. Right there. Right? Bam. Bam. And we're going to kind of bring it all the way around, full circle. Nice and soft. And then we're going to bring it over to the arm here, or the hand. And we're going to connect the shading over here to the hand. Now before we go and get too ahead of ourselves with the gray, we're going to switch over to the black, and we're going to kind of go over this little area real quick. So just switch off to the black, and I'm going to start over here by her hand, trying to bring this shadow around. Right, you have the end point over here on the stencil. I made sure to include the end point of her neck, and that's kind of where this shadow and this arm need to meet. There's an indentation here. You just bring it around and shade it in. Nothing too crazy. And as always, I recommend you be looking at your reference. Look at what I'm doing so you can see where you got to be, but then look at your reference so you know what to paint. Right? So simple. And then maybe we just want to darken up some of this shadowing right underneath her lips a little bit. Just a little bit, nothing too crazy. There, that's good. And maybe we want to just add a little dark tone to that shadow going around, just a little bit. Bam. Nothing too crazy, just some soft shading to the side there, some soft shading under the chin. What's up, Easy Airbrush? How's it going, man? Right, simple. All right. So then we're gonna move on to the whole right cheek, right eye area. Starting with the cheek right here. I'm gonna switch back off to the gray real quick. Trying to make sure you guys can see. Okay, yeah. And again, from her nose, see this part on the nose, to her cheek over here, somewhere in between, so like right here on her eye, there's a shadow that drops to here and goes around, right? So I'm just pointing out what I see in the reference. If you look on the reference, there's a shadow that comes off right off her nose and kind of goes up her cheek, right? So that's all we're gonna do is just kind of build that shadow in off her nose, nice and soft, and then we're gonna take it up her cheek and up to her fingers, where her fingers kind of meet. That's kind of where the focal point of that shadow is. So we're gonna bring it up to there, and then we're just gonna kind of shade this all in going down. And that's just the shadow of the lighting, right? And like I said, she has like freckles, so if you wanted to add the freckles in, you know, this is a good time to start stippling them in with your airbrush. And I'm just going around and shading this whole area in with a nice medium gray. I'm just looking at the reference. And there's little slight variations in the shading, right? So if you want to use your reference and really get meticulous on where the shading is going and how you can. But for the most part, we have a nice dark tone on the right hand side, and it's kind of a rounded face, right? So we have a highlight in the middle, and then we're gonna have some nice dark tones over on this left side over here. So it's really all we're working with. I'm gonna go ahead and do some quick little stippling for the little freckles, you know. And if you are painting a portrait of an actual person and you want it to look like them, I would recommend trying to place these freckles accordingly. Again, I'm just gonna do some quick freckling just for demonstration's sake, so I don't want to sit here and you know, be so precise with it. I'm just kind of just trying to flow through it to show you guys kind of what's going on. I'm going to switch off to the black, and I'm just going to go over here and hit the shadow right here and bring it up a little bit. Nothing too crazy. See, just a little bit right there, and we're going to leave just a little bit of shadow going down. Bam. Nothing too hot, too crazy. All right, then we're going to move up towards the nose right here so that we can finish off her cheek here and kind of connect the whole shading to her eyeball and stuff. And this camera's just, there you go. It's just refusing to stay. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So we're going to connect the shading now from her nose to the cheek over here. So again, starting with a little bit of gray. I'm going to start off with her nose right here, right? And right off where we have our curve right here in the shadow, we also kind of have a shadow coming back down here, coming this way. Right? So again, just looking at, you see this piece right here, we also have a shade coming off of that this way. And then we have one coming off the nose this way. So get those both marked in. And then you see the shadow up here. We could go ahead and connect that to where, kind of basically if you just bring it down and connect it to where that other little shading line is. But you want to do that freehand so that it doesn't have such a hard edge on it. And then you're just going to bring that shading down onto the cheek, to the cheekbone, and around to the cheek. She obviously has a white, like, or a highlight right here, so we're going to leave that. And then if you want to do your freckles, and then we're going to just shade around the eye. So since we already have we still have our eye kind of on there, you could just use the edge of those to bring that around. And then we have a nice little half moon underneath the eye, just really small. You see that? Just right underneath there. Bring that around. Simple. We kind of have some shading going on over here. So we're going to start in with the gray. Off the eye there, off the corner of the eye. Going towards the hand here. Switch off to the black real quick, and we're just going to finish off the edge here of the fingers. Then we're going to hit this half moon. Right, just edge to edge. Nothing too crazy. And then we're going to go around the top of the eyeball here. No, I think you're still good. If you need to darken up any tones on your nose, right, so this would be a good time to hit it since we were just there. I'm just going to go ahead and darken up a little bit of this and just a little bit over here, so when we add some white highlights, we got some good contrast. So you can see there, and I kind of have that white highlight going up around the nose here. If you look on the picture, you kind of have that same kind of effect, but it's also kind of bending down, so it's a little bit of a conundrum to paint. You know, you got two different things happening at once, and it's hard sometimes to convey. But if you leave that little bit of white highlight, but you bring the shading in and around it, then you got that good way of the lighting kind of hitting off the nose, but also getting the idea that it's curving around her head there. So again, bringing in the black, I'm gonna go in and shade in all the way up top there to her eyebrow and around to the hand. I'm doing it first with black, and then I'm just going to switch to the gray, and we're going to reinforce that black with some gray here real quick. And just because the transparent gray over the black looks really good. We're going to shade in over here where the fingers are. Right, so we're just going to kind of fill that in with the transparent gray, go around, and then all I'm going to do is kind of go around where I've cut out my eyebrow and just kind of outline it off, and then we could take that off. We don't need that. We don't need that hard line. We just need to know where the lines go for the eyebrows. So then we can bring the shading into that area, right, and off of it. So on the reference, there's not much to go off on the forehead. So I'm just going to bring some shadowing in. Nothing too crazy. And bring in the shading where the eyebrow is. Make sure we mark off the finger here. Then we're just going to switch off to the black. Remember how we were practicing those finest dots that you could give me? And here's where they come in handy. We're going to move all them dots, and we're going to move them to create lines. And I'm just going to kind of go quickly and create myself some nice eyebrows. But I would recommend you look at your reference that's provided for you, and you kind of go forth following the reference. Bring in some hair. Cool. Simple. I'm going to go and kind of hit this edge right here. Bring a little bit of black right up onto that just to soften up our stencil edge there. Kind of bring this shading over here around. There's also some really slight, eyelid wrinkles that are visible through her makeup. Kind of helps to put those in. We can remove the actual white part of the eyes now. And all I'm going to do is take some black, and off this right hand side, I see there's a little bit of a shadow being cast onto the eye right there. Not really going to do anything too much over here. I'm just going to bring a nice one little stroke like that in right there. Bam. But from here, obviously, it's time to turn your little dagger strokes and turn them into eyelashes. Like I said, we already have it marked off where to start your eyelashes from. And if you use your reference, you know which direction they should be going. So you just add those in. Nice and easy. Go on the other side. She has a makeup line right here. Bam. Do the ones on the other side. Just little dagger strokes, right? Going in a kind of half moon there. Cool. Simple, don't get too crazy with it. And there you go, we got pretty much the face in. And all we have to worry about is the fingers here on the hand. Now, if you want to do all the wrinkles on the fingers, by all means, I'm not gonna stop you. But you know, we're just gonna start off by removing that last finger there. All I'm gonna do is take some black. I'm gonna shade it in there, shade it in off the hair, add a few hairs maybe going over that finger there, shade it out this bottom edge, right? Boom. Then I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna leave the fingernail, but I'm gonna remove this finger here. Just like that. Go in with some gray first. I'm just gonna shade it in. Again, use your reference, bring in the shade off the side there. What's up, Christopher Mayo? What's up, Dennis? How's it going? Struggling with the idea of stencils, but it seems it's the best way to go. What? So the whole reason I use the stencils for this demonstrations is that I want everybody to be able to achieve the results that I'm getting, right? So that's why we kind of use the stencil as a good base. But if you were watching the live stream yesterday where I airbrushed the Prince artwork, you'll notice that I do most of my work on vehicles freehanded. So I don't actually do well, I do a lot of prep, but I don't do like stencil prep really, so it's totally possible. I don't know about saying anything is the best though. It's all personal preference. So I would get that idea of best and just lock that away and put it away somewhere. Because everybody's going to have their own taste. And what might be the best for you might actually just be the worst for somebody else. You know, different boats for different folks is what I'd say. And so, yeah. It's always good to learn everybody's styles and learn different ways. You know, but saying one is the best is kind of, I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate your question, and yeah, like you could do it freehand, no problem. I always recommend people learn all the fundamentals and the basics because that's really what's going to lead you to be able to just create whatever you want freehand. So all I've done is remove that finger, shade it in the finger real quick, kind of shade it in the back of the finger, and that's it. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I would just, even if you could just go back on the VODs and look at yesterday's, Prince artwork, you could see that I just did it freehand and it's just easier that way. And even now, like I'm using the stencil to map it out, but a lot of the artwork, we did it freehand. Like I was just kind of walking you through where you need to be. But now that we've removed this piece, we're almost at the very end. So, but yeah, I totally, that's where I'm at. I like doing stuff freehand. I've always liked doing it freehand. I feel it saves time and energy and cost to the customer when they don't have to pay for tons of hours of prep. I don't get frustrated after doing all that prep and something not coming out just the way I wanted it to. And when it's freehand, it's kind of shooting off the hip, so if I need to change something, I always go about and change that. So all I'm doing is starting off by shading in the hand here. I've removed the hand, right? So she has kind of a knuckle shadow here. So I'm just kind of doing that knuckle shadow there and using that as a base of where to bring in my shadowing around. She has, some wrinkles here for one of her fingers, her pinky finger. Bring it around, a little bit of shading. Nothing too crazy. I want that fingernail on there though. That fingernail has to stay because I want to do that edge. I'm just gonna use that. Go ahead and do that edge real quick. Get out of here then. Oh, now it wants to stay. Okay, whatever. Anyway, just use your reference there for your shading and your lines. Obviously, on a picture like this, the focal point is going to really be the face. So a lot of people are going to just directly look at the face. And you could probably get away with not being so detailed on this because it's kind of, even on the picture, it's kind of fuzzed out. So it's all right if it's, you know, not the best looking hand, because you can barely tell it's a hand anyway. It's kind of so up close to her face. If you're that person that's walking around doing this, hey, I'm gonna take a picture. Hold on, let me get my hand posed. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one. The Undertaker lowrider bike, that was a pretty good one. Yeah, if you have serious questions and if you want to learn more, you know, and you want to get results, I mean, answers not just from me, but from the community. And I know the YouTube comments can kind of be, you know, slightly toxic sometimes. So, I don't know, if you want to join up on the Discord, down below in the links, we have a link to our Discord. You can join up on there, and on there it's a little more private, you know. It's not as open. It's not like social media, and it's only amongst ourselves and amongst other artists. And I have, you know, like mod controls on there. I can just, like, you know, I don't like what somebody's saying, I can be like, hey, yo, stop it. It's a little bit, YouTube's kind of still Wild West stuff. And that's all I'm doing is just shading in the hand there, and we're pretty much done, my friends. Again, you could take some white. We loaded up white, but I feel like we've only used it over here. I'm gonna do some white highlights on the eyes. Alright, so I'm over here on the eyes. I'm just gonna do some white highlights, just like you see in the picture. Maybe do a little extra. Now, there's always a debate on if you should do white highlights or not. Now, I'm a big believer that once you get good, right? So like even me, I was trying to do it fast, but once you get pretty good, like I'm doing white highlights over areas where I can't even tell that I'm putting the white highlight. I just know that I need to put a white highlight, but I've already kind of shaded around that area and left the white to where it's already white. So it's a matter of like you know, your skill there a little bit. But if you go back, you add your white highlights and all that, you're pretty much done. And let me move the camera, give you guys the money shot. Then that'll be it for today, and you guys can catch me again. I said I was gonna stream tomorrow on the Prince car, but I actually have to go out of town for a project, and yeah, so yeah, the only thing I see right now, right off the bat, that I would kind of go back and change a little bit, so let me move this one. Alright, so the only thing I see is kind of this line above the eye is not thick enough, right? So if I look back on my reference, let me just hit it real quick. I feel like it needs to be thicker. Thicker than a Snicker. Something like that. Yeah, that looks better. But again, here at the very end, you can make your own little tweaks and stuff. But let me give you guys a good look of what we done. So there you go. I hate the way that, let's see. There you go. That's more straight on. So there you go. You get quick and easy results using that little template, that little stencil. Again, it's all available down below. What's up, Jesus? How's it going? Thank you, thank you. So yeah, you know, using that quick little template and this quick little tips, you know, you can make quick results. Obviously, if you take more time, if you do more of the freckles and all that, you know, if you could take all day with it if you really wanted to. I'm just trying to give you a quick little walkthrough. Like I said, next week we'll be back and we're gonna do the same face, but we're gonna do it in color, and I'm gonna show, you know, why I as an artist and why a lot of the people I've ever met as an artist will charge, you know, twice or 3 times as much for a picture in color as to one in black and white. So one in black and white like this, you know, if you're doing a portrait of somebody, obviously just add a little bit more detail and get it really looking like the person, you know. But then when you do it in color, there's a lot more steps. It really helps to have more airbrushes. So right up front, like the cost is a little higher and stuff. So do you have a video on how I created a stencil? No. So it's just an image. So you literally just take an image. I've just taken and traced it out. There's nothing special to it. So yeah, anyway guys, hopefully that helps you guys out. Hopefully you guys like that video. Well, again, we'll see you guys next week. I have to go out of town this weekend for a project, but you'll see more of that on social media as I finish that up. So yeah, I'll be back next Thursday on here on the live stream, and then we'll go over some more woman's face using that same template. And it really does look good once you get up on it. Look at that. It looks really good, son. Damn, son, where'd you find that? And I mean, that took, I mean, I didn't work too hard at it or nothing like that. That was just a quick little demonstration. So again, if you want me to see your results and stuff like that, it helps join the Discord down below. Click at the join button and join the channel, and the Skull Squad helps the channel provide you more videos like this. As always, thank you to our Createx, to our sponsor Createx, for providing the paint for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for all the support. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week for more of this. Have a good night, everybody. Later.